Hey, greetings. Yeah, this probably looks like a rewind because we have a Hoover WindTunnel. This is a consumer digest model. Ooh. Really? That's odd. There's a brand new bag in this one. So that's cool. That's going to whoever I'm sending this to. And for those who don't know, I've been saying on Patreon I'm going to give another vacuum away, and this is what we're giving away. It's in pretty good condition. So I'm just going to strip a few parts off here to put into the dishwasher because, well, I'm going to do a dishwasher load and other stuff. So come join me as I take this thing apart. Well, our part has arrived from eBay. Yep, we're going to put this idler pulley in this Hoover. I've already actually gone through and wiped everything down. But I still have to break it down completely almost to get to that part. So actually the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the hose, which I've actually washed, and set that aside. And if you hear loud bangs, me tossing things around, tough, deal with it. That's just how this is. Now, let's start pulling things off the this cleaner. And this is kind of a big vacuum to work with. And again, I've washed everything already. Pull this out. And there's going to be 3 screws coming out here. Or actually, take that. There'll be a 4th one here in a minute. And that is going to be on the side here. To get to this cover, if you just take this one screw out, it is brilliant. This whole thing comes off, and you have plenty of room to work in here. Now you're going to take 2 flathead screwdrivers. You're going to wedge one just like so. Let's see if that's in frame. Now we're in frame. We're going to wedge one just like so. We're going to take our other one and pop it symmetrically on the other side, just like so. So you can see they're both wedged. Now we're going to turn the machine over, pop the cover off, and remove the screwdrivers. And now we can get to all the working brains, you could call it brains, and parts of the idler pulley right here. So very simple to get to. Right there. Now you can actually replace the whole idler pulley. That is a complete hassle. And sometimes you crack this case when you do it, so I much prefer to pop it in that way. And let me grab the screw. So you can see there's actually enough room if you hold this idler pulley a little bit out of its normal position. Right there. We'll put it in there. That spins freely. So now our idler pulley simply just been replaced, and the way that works is it goes up and down, and that's what holds tension on the belt. I've never had any problems with these springs failing or rusting, but couldn't hurt. Just drop a little bit of oil on that spring occasionally. Alright, now that we have that part in, let's turn the machine over and we'll start putting the rest of it back together the best we can. You know, I've washed a lot of things on this machine and it just continues to look kind of dirty, but that is what it is with this. So with the brush roller, when you first put him back in, I want everything to be really clear. So when we put the brush roller in and the belt on, let's walk the belt on now that you can see that the belt sits flush with this. If it sits a little bit like that when it's most new, and then if it goes in the groove like a millimeter or more, then the belt needs to be replaced with the V-belt. And the simple solution to these V-belts, and you can see this is now tensioned when the machine is down. If it's in the upright position, it's not going to be tensioned. But a simple solution to these V-belts, change the roller and the V-belt at the same time, and you won't have any problems. Now this belt, for some reason people, particularly new technicians, have trouble walking this belt on, so I'm going to show you how that walks on. So I've put it on there. I'm going to take my thumb, I'm going to roll it around. I'm also using the brush roller to turn this pulley a little bit, and it just pops right out. So, and then you just want to hand walk it just a little bit, make sure it's not going one way or another. I can tell you the transmission mount on this needs to be slightly canted back to its proper position. There we go. And that will help with belt tracking ever so slightly as well. As you can see, the belt is leveled out. So there's a little hack there, as people like to call things that are not hacks, hacks. So let's go put the rest of this together. We're just going to turn her over. And it's kind of cool, you can see all the mechanical bits of this on there. So this cover, I'm just going to blow out the bottom with compressed air. I guess we should talk a little bit about the cover and the interaction of this, because this does break. This little guy right here is the carpet floor selector. So that, basically what that does is when you put it on hard floor, it sticks that plastic pin under this pulley, which pulls tension off the belt. Same thing when the machine's in the upright position. This can break off, it just snaps on and off, real easy. You can also see where the red indicator used to be painted and or stickered right there, and they've since have blocked on models. So you want to make sure it's in the carpet position when you put this cover back on, otherwise that lever is going to interact the wrong place with that pulley, so just keep that in mind when you're working with these. And then once this gets back together, just little taps like that, put it in the upright position. We start doing basically the reverse of what I did earlier. I'm going to put this part on. And now with my screws, the black one goes right here. And now we're going to put in the little screw by hand. It's like 1.5 turns with that, so you just do that one by hand if you can. The other ones are not, doesn't matter. And these silver screws are what hold that blue cover on. Then you have your 4 screws on these. Adjust my torque on that, so it's hopefully not to over torque and break the clear plastic part that holds that in. There we go. All the screws are gone. It's a good sign. Just checking the torque by hand on some of these screws. Alright. The tools will fall off while you're working on it, so make sure you return those to your lovely customer. All we gotta do is put the hose back on, and it should be ready to clean. We'll test everything, make sure it's adjusted. Turn the self-propelled to the on section. Let's see what's going on with that gearbox. You know, I really dislike when self-propelled vacuums act up, because they do things like this, and here's your headphone warning. We're going to pull that transmission out and see why it's doing that. That is a disgusting noise. And noise bueno, to say the least. If you've never pulled one of these transmissions out, they're very temperamental and very fragile. So I don't recommend doing it ever. But, you know, I'm sure somebody somewhere will have to do it. So here's how. First, be very careful not to crack this, because that piece is a piece of shit and will break almost every time, like this one has started doing. So we're going to support it while we pull that out. You just loosen that. That's it. So the self-propel is now out of adjustment. I'll go over doing that later. Next, we're gonna do the joyous of joys. I'm gonna pull these pieces out of here. Little clamps. We're going to separate this thing. Yummy. Now you're going to get to see belt comes off, and you can leave the rest of this connected. We're going to pull the transmission off now. Actually, I may have lied. You do need to pull that thing off. Alright, so now we've separated that. We'll set that aside. Well, I can put the rest of this in the dishwasher. And you might be looking at this wondering, how the hell do you take this off or separate this? And then there are two screws. Oh, those two screws. Duh. Boink. Now she should be loosey-goosey. So after separating the parts and putting them in the dishwasher, I found the transmission housing was cracked. So what do? These aren't available. And it's a glass-filled resin, so that usually takes epoxy very well. So I found some of my high-impact epoxy, and I decided to put that on there, glue it up, let it sit overnight, and lo and behold, it held after I put it together. So that was most excellent, and let me show you the results now in a video. You would never be able to tell unless I pointed it out, but I have epoxy back this cracked housing, which was creating that horrible noise we heard earlier on the vacuum cleaner. So now, when the vacuum is being used, it doesn't sound like death. So I don't know how long that's going to work. That's a really good epoxy I used. This is Golf Club high impact epoxy I used. I've used this on all sorts of things and had really good luck with it. So I suspect that will last the life of the motor, the vacuum. And I think what caused that was somebody picking the machine up and then slamming it down is what caused that. So if this video helped you, please give us a thumbs up. If you like this, give this a thumbs up. Consider a share. There are links below to supplies for this machine, which is a great way to support the channel. If you really like what we did here, consider joining our Patreon and check out one of our other videos here.